How's it going, guys? Well, I'm out in the woods again today, and I brought with me my Warbonnet Blackbird XLC. I've made a couple of minor modifications to this hammock to make a little bit of an improvement, and I'd like to share them with you. I currently own 5 hammocks, and this by far is my favorite, and I'm going to show you why. I'm also today filming with a new camera I got, so hopefully the video quality is a little bit better than in the past. So let's start out with the stuff sack. I'm keeping it in the original stuff sack, but if you notice on one side, the cord's a little bit shorter. The reason why I did that, this side, the short side, is the head side. That way when I go to set up the hammock, it's just a little bit easier. I just grab it and I say, that's the head end, I'm going to put it on this tree. There's the foot end, I'm going to put it on that tree. Now I also kept the original tree straps that came with the hammock, but I put them in this little stuff sack. And the reason is sometimes I hang on like a pine tree and you get a little bit of sap, and this just keeps the hammock clean, keeps them a little separate. In this bag, I also have 2 little titanium shepherd hook stakes, and that's to stake out the hammock. Now with the tree straps, I also got some Dutch wire. I'm going to go ahead and set up the hammock over here, and I'll show you the rest. I ordered my hammock with whoopee slings, so I attached these carabiners. Now I've also selected 2 different colors, green for the head end, and I used silver for the foot end. So one of the first modifications I actually did was clip off the little zippers here and replace it with these little soft pulls. I just don't like the sound of the zippers, you know, with the metal hitting, and these are just a little bit nicer. So this one might stir a little bit of controversy. I actually shortened the length of the ridgeline, and I did this by tying 2 knots in the ridgeline, just to shorten it up a little bit. Now everyone's different when they lay in a hammock. Everyone has their comfort spot. You know, there's a formula out there where it's like 83% of the length of the hammock should be the ridgeline, and that's a really good starting spot. But I've said this in many other videos, just because everyone says that that's the way things should be done doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the most comfortable for you. So you have to find what works for you. So for me, I wanted to actually shorten the ridgeline a little bit. So I took the whole hammock apart, tied a couple knots, and it just shortened it up just a little bit, and it makes it a whole lot more comfortable for me. I also sewed in these little quilt hooks. I have 2 of them on the head end, and I have 2 right around the foot box. Now the reason why I did this is actually to better secure the underquilt, because I toss and turn in my sleep and I get in and out of the hammock, you know, and the underquilt kind of moves around on me a little bit. So I have a video actually on this process, and if you want to check that out, there's a link in the description below. Now tied on to the ridgeline at the head end of the hammock, I have this little tiny piece of cordage, and I use that to secure my pillow. On the back of the pillow, there's these little holes, so I just tie a knot to it, and then my pillow is secure, and even though I move around a little bit, my pillow stays in the right spot. Now some people say, oh, just take a stuff sack and put your old clothes in it or whatever for a pillow. In all reality, that's not really comfortable to me. This is comfortable. It's a great pillow. It's a better night's sleep. I don't mind carrying the extra weight for comfort. So when I get into the hammock, I always try to make sure that the hammock is all the way open. The problem with that is it's hard to reach the zipper. And if you get in the hammock like that, it does end up putting a lot of tension here. So I got a little simple solution, which might seem kind of lazy, but I like it, and it definitely works out. So I open the zipper all the way. So tucked away in the shelf, I actually keep a little piece of rope, and I got 2 little hooks on it. So that way when I get in the hammock, there's no tension on the bug net, and I just pull it and zip it closed. Let me show you. Now like I said, I know this seems kind of lazy, but trust me, when you're trying to reach that zipper all the way at the end and you're squirming around in the hammock, it's like being in a foam pit. This is much easier. So the last thing I want to show you is not really a hammock modification, but it's like a little custom piece of gear. So when you get in the hammock at nighttime, you take your shoes off. Where do you put your shoes? Now there is a shelf there, but I really don't want to be smelling my shoes. so not the best place for them, and especially if they're wet. Your hammock's gonna get wet. I used to put them on the ground, but I really don't like leaving my shoes on the ground. So I used to take like a piece of cordage and throw them over the ridgeline, over the back of the hammock back here. But I came up with this little bag here. So I got this little mesh bag and some kind of bright blue cordage and a little clip here. So when I get in the hammock, I just put my shoes in the bag and I clip this to the ridgeline and then I zip it shut. And that leaves my shoes outside of the hammock but off the ground and easily accessible. When I used to throw them over the ridgeline, I used to try to push them up all the way towards the end, and in the morning, you know, they'd be kind of hard to reach, and maybe it just sounds like I'm being lazy with that little zipper pulling this thing, but it's actually really nice. It keeps the shoes, you know, really close and easy to get to, and keeps them, you know, underneath your tarp, underneath your hammock, and keeps them off the ground. So let me show you how this works. So there's plenty of cordage for the shoes to not touch the hammock, and they hang out right by the zipper there, and that way the mesh bag doesn't contact the hammock and also keeps your shoes readily available, and hopefully they dry out if they're a little damp or even wet overnight. Well, there you guys have it. Just a couple of small modifications to make this hammock a little bit better and kind of customize it towards myself. Overall, I would have to say that this is probably my favorite hammock. I've had it for about 2 years, and by far it's the best backpacking hammock that I own. With just a couple of small tweaks, I really like it. So, hope you guys liked the video. If you did, make sure to like it. Please leave a comment and subscribe. And stay tuned for more backpacking and hammock videos.